going to ask Brent's sister, Bonita, to come up, and she's going to give the statement of what happened. And I'd like to invite Bonita up here to speak on behalf of her brother.
Today I am Brent Bowden. Yes. Today we all are Brent Bowden.
Yes. Yes.
I'm actually really getting sick and tired of us having to have these rallies where we have to stand for one person.
Yes.
But we're all standing together and we all are representing Brent today. So I'm just going to give you a little brief of the banana peel incident. Bear with me. On June 24th, my brother, Constable Brent Bowden, because he's still a police officer, was alerted by two female officers to a banana peel on his vehicle, on his personal vehicle. Initially thinking it was a harmless prank, Brent later spoke to Sergeant Hunka about the incident. Hunka denied knowing anything about it. However, upon investigating further, Bowden discovered that Hunka had deliberately placed the banana peel there. Security footage, now there's footage. This isn't just a he said, she said. Security footage showed Hunka's arm him slowly driving by with his arm slowly extending and throwing the peel on the front of Brent's windshield. A banana peel on a black man's vehicle.
Shame!
Shame! This was not just a prank, it was an act of anti-black racism and humiliation. Despite Bowden's investigation and clear evidence, the department found no wrongdoing. They claimed there was no evidence of racism. Who are they to say what racism is for us?
Shame!
No action was taken against Sergeant Hunka. The incident is part of a larger troubling pattern of anti-blackness in policing with impunity. The institution's response was as follows. I'm going to continue on. I'll read the institution's response after I finish. This is a reflection. Their response was actually a reflection of the silence and inaction that often allows discrimination to persist.
Yes.
The failure to address this issue highlights the deeper issues, the systematic problem of racism in law enforcement that goes unchanged and unnoticed. We are gathered here today, not because we want to be, but because we have to be. This incident serves as a painful reminder of the ongoing fight against anti-blackness in policing and the need for accountability and change.
Yes.
This has had a profound impact on my brother, his family, our community.
Yes.
Yet again, I'm so sick and tired of this. And we must stand together and demand better.
Yes.
We deserve it.
Yes.
We deserve better.
That's right.
Thank you.
So this is the response that the Truro Police Department put out to the community. The Truro Police Service and the town of Truro are aware of social media posts made by members of the public regarding an incident that occurred within the Truro Police Service in June 2024. Despite this situation being posted on social media, the incident was an internal human resource matter. However, given the seriousness of the allegations, there is a need to address this issue publicly. The incident was taken very seriously by the Truro Police Service and the town of Truro.
Where are they?
As an immediate step, the Truro Police Service engaged members of the local African Nova Scotian community to support the impacted officer and to ensure a cultural lens and appropriate response were considered in addressing the incident. A community leader from the African Nova Scotian community led a restorative process where the involved parties came together and acknowledged the impact of the incident.
Not anytime
This
soon.
process was proposed a pathway forward for all involved.
Yeah.
Human Resources with the town of Truro also conducted an internal review of the incident. The impacted officer did not find this resolution satisfactory.
Right.
The impacted officer then filed a complaint under the Nova Scotia Police Act to ensure an open and transparent investigation. The Truro Police Service requested a high-ranking African Nova Scotia police leader from an outside police agency conduct this investigation. This was done to ensure the investigation was free of any bias and that an African Nova Scotian lens was applied to the situation. This investigation considered the lived experiences of African Nova Scotians, especially in relation to racial issues, which are complex and deeply rooted in Nova Scotia's history. The investigation was taken very seriously, and all relevant evidence and facts were carefully reviewed.
Yeah.
This investigation concluded and found the allegation was not sustained, meaning the evidence didn't support the incident, was intentional, or motivated by racism or hate.
Need a history study.
Throughout the process, the impacted officer was given support, and his perspective was respected.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
His perspective
He was told.
was respected. Like racism is a perspective.
Yeah, right.
Let's see. Members from Truro's African Nova Scotian community who were involved in the restorative approach, the Truro Police Board, the town of Truro officials were updated and informed throughout the process and on the status of the allegation. Collectively, we acknowledge the impacted officer has been greatly impacted by this incident. Intentionally throwing a banana peel at a person of African descent will never be acceptable. Now,
Right.
that was their first statement that they put out.
Yeah.
Then they quickly edited it
Yeah.
and took out just the part that said,
The banana.
intentionally throwing a banana peel. See, they had a little Freudian slip there, right? And then they removed that from the statement.
Because they realized they were wrong.
They removed that from the statement.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea.
So listening to that and naming all the places that are here for Brett, when they said in the letter that they spoke to the black community, I was like, okay, I'm from Yonge Street. I didn't get a phone call. I didn't get an email. Hello. We were at the meeting and I felt bad because I was there for the first one, but I went there for the second one. And when they said that they were reached out to the black community, I was like, who was touched? Who was talked to? Because I'll tell you now, the people that are standing here right now was not called. So they picked a person, two people, I don't know, but that was gonna represent our community. But you know what? They forgot. They didn't ask the community.
That's right. That's
Because right now they have the community on their lawn.
right. That's right.
So you know what? It broke my heart because I know Brady. I call him Brady because I am the Indigenous support worker for Truro Elementary, and I'm Mrs. B to my kiddos. So when Brett started securing our school, the kids were like, Miss B, are you married to Mr. B? And I was like, oh my God, don't tell my husband that. I said, who's Mr. B? Because I was like, been here for like 2 years and never seen Mr. B. And I'm like, who's Mr. B? And then one of my students was like, he's a black guy and he's bald and he's really cute. And I was like, oh, I need to check this guy out. So I look up the window and this sexy looking cop car came up and this black guy came out. And I was like, oh yeah, Miss B is finding out who Mr. B is now. So like I told Brett, I told him, I feel bad and my heart breaks for what he had to go through. But I am so proud that he stand up because Because he stood up, he put that platform, that blanket to let everyone know in Truro, it's not a black thing. It's not a banana thing. It's racism. And you know what? They can cough off that it was a banana and it wasn't a big thing and it was just a joke and haha. They can go all what they want. If you read between the lines, it was racism. If you drive through Truro, you see a sign right in front of the police station in the Truro Library. And it states that we're doing a racism walk. And it's not because, oh, we only get it at school, it's in the community. So then I had some lady say, oh, well, you know, I really didn't hear about the story. Well, you know what? We're letting you know now. This is the story, and this is what's going on in our community. So if you want to walk away and pretend you didn't hear it, that's on you. But we're going to remind you every time we see you, every time you see us, every time you read our Facebook, every time you read the newspaper, we're going to remind you that it's not going anywhere. We're stuck with you, you're stuck with us, and we ain't going nowhere.
Next, I'm going to call on Chanel Colley from Black Lives Matter. We're in this together.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you, Angela. So I'm not only honored but privileged to stand here before you on behalf of the Black Lives Matter in this Together movement of Nova Scotia. Our organization is dedicated to promoting racial equality, social justice, and community empowerment through education, advocacy, health, and wellness, and cultural initiatives. To Brent, thanks for finding the courage and bravery to take the first step to seek justice. Seeking justice as a collective is the right way to go. Look all around. We are all here today willing to support you to address the injustices you faced. To do so, we ought to be advocates for change through challenging oppressive structures, systems, practices, and policies.
That's right.
Ubuntu calls on us to believe that, Brent, your pain is our pain, as we are interconnected beings. Therefore, Ubuntu also urges us to all to listen to others as we would like to be heard. So we ask that your story be heard, but not just heard, be actioned appropriately.
That's right. That's right.
Until then, join us, Black Lives Matter in this Together movement, as we continue, as we continue to move within the movement to seek action. Brent strong. Our strength lies in our unity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chanel, for that.
Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the faith that the present has brought us.
Next, we're going to call on Rocky Coward. Rocky is a veteran and an advocate and a well-known speaker against social injustice. So we're going to invite Rocky up to give us a few words.
Thank you, Angela. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Bon matin, tout le monde. Pour mon ami qui parle français, je suis, ce matin, Brent Bowden. Welcome, everybody, and I thank everybody on behalf of the Bowden family for showing up today to support them in this very worthwhile cause. Pardon me. I'm deeply saddened by what I've seen here today, and I'm going to take you in the next 5 or 10 minutes on an odyssey. I grew up in Sydney, Nova Scotia. I hail now from Lower Sackville, Nova Scotia. Like Brent, I was in the Canadian Armed Forces. I retired as a senior non-commissioned officer. Like Brent, with an unassailable record. I served with distinction both in Canada, in Germany, in Israel, in Syria, and many other places. I'm saddened today, and I'm saddened today because of what has transpired. In 2017, Dr. Wortley, who was a sociologist, did a study in Halifax, and they wanted to determine the impact of what we call racial profiling of black people. And the outcome was that, pardon me, it created over decades intergenerational trauma, It made young people afraid of the police department. And as a consequence of that, we move forward to 2019, and a gentleman that I work with, the Honorable retired Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, his name is Michael McDonald, who hails from Sydney, about 4 streets up from where I was, and his colleague, Jennifer Taylor, she's a research lawyer. They were commissioned by the Nova Scotia Human Rights Commission to look into the impact of racism on people in the community. At the end of the day, they determined that racial profiling was very harmful to the targeted groups. I represented a chap by the name of Maurice Carvery, who was first a Halifax police officer and subsequently joined the RCMP. He suffered racism so opprobrious, so disgraceful, that he ended up with complex PTSD. After 4 or 5 years, I represented him in Ottawa before the Canadian Human Rights Commission, the Department of Justice, and we emerged very successful with a significant amount of compensation. That's the only way that colonialists understand the impact of the harm that they cause.
Yeah. Like money from
I spoke subsequent to that with the Deputy Chief of the Police, a chap by the name of Mr. Doyle, and I asked him if the RCMP would give any consideration to apologizing for racially visible Black, Indigenous, people of color for racial profiling. He declined. I'm going to postulate that subsequent to the victory that Maurice and I achieved in Ottawa back in 2022, in September of 2024, Commissioner Daly apologized in North Preston to Black people for racial profiling. But I'm here today specifically because I want to talk about leadership.
That's right.
Leadership is not given, leadership is a gift. And respect is not given, respect is earned. More importantly, when we look at a sergeant and a constable that did this disgraceful act of throwing a banana peel on Brent's vehicle, they made a statement.
Yes, that's right.
But they made a statement that demonstrates who this sergeant is.
Yes,
He
that's
is
right.
not a leader. But what he is, he's a deterrer.
That's right.
And what he is, he's infectious and he's poison, because this man is in a position of authority where he uses that authority to teach other young officers how to mistreat people of color, racially visible people, Indigenous people, Black people, and that is disgraceful. Equally as disturbing, I understand that we solicited the police chief, the mayor, and they have placated the issue.
That's right.
And essentially what they've done, they've tried to sweep it under the rug.
That's it. That's it.
My good friend Willie O'Ree, who I brought here in 1998 to go across the province, he was the first Black member to be the NHL back in 1958. He told me they threw bananas on the ice. So we know what that is indicative of. They threw a black cat on the ice. Willie O'Ree. What I'm going to do, we come in peace today, but I want to extend an invitation to the police chief of Truro, to the premier of this province, to sit down with us, because we are not going anywhere. These kinds of acts, when they perpetrate these kinds of acts, they impact all of us. Today we are here as a mosaic. This is not a black and white issue. This is about being a human being, or this is being... And the failure to demonstrate that. And that is disgraceful. And so, in my humble opinion, these types of things have to be addressed. They have to be. And I want to say to Brent that's listening, and everybody here that's listening, you see, there's a thing that facilitates these kinds of racisms. When someone can see that your presence is colorful and is good, it disturbs them. And when that happens, you see, our existence makes them feel that we are offensive to them. More importantly, sometimes when they see our light, it reflects their darkness. And that compels them to be as meager-minded as they are. In 2025, I'm calling not only on the town of Truro, I want the police chief to understand that this is a reflection of not poor leadership. There's leading men, but there's few leaders.
That's right.
And that sergeant and that constable should be dismissed. We have 52 black communities in the province of Nova Scotia.
That's right.
I would humbly suggest that we solicit them all. There's an old African saying, a single twig is easily broken, but sticks in a bundle are indeed hard to break. And we need to unite as a province. We need to unite as a province so that when this transpires again, whether it be in Glaze Bay or Yarmouth, we come together in solidarity. And we speak in one voice, because for the last 200 or 300 years, we have been divisive. It's time for us to come together. And when I say come together, not only the black community, our indigenous community, our European friends and colleagues, we are a family. Nous sommes une famille. And we have to stick together on these issues, and we have to stay the course. I want the town of Truro to understand that this is the beginning of something going forward. We aren't going nowhere. Provided the Creator keeps us breathing, we will walk with Brent and family and the Bowden family until this is resolved to their satisfaction. Now, I want to go back to Sydney, where I grew up at, and in 1954, a chap by the name of Tom Miller was the first black alderman. 10 years later, he encouraged a chap that he's significantly older than I am, Campy Carl Crawford, in 1964 to be the first black police officer east of Montreal.
Wow. Wow.
Campy went through hell here on earth. You understand what I'm saying? But in order to initiate something, you have to go in the fire. And I want to be clear, for Brent and family, this is not the end, this is the beginning, because gold is purified through fire. When we put gold into the fire, with all of the impurities, by the time, if it emerges out the other side, you have pure gold. But anybody that goes in the fire doesn't come out.
Yeah, that's right.
I want to be clear. But today, we want Brent and his family and his parents and his sisters and all of his collective family and the people here to begin healing. And healing, I learned from my indigenous friends, begins with an apology. I learned from the indigenous people that an apology allows them to commence the healing. And that was a very powerful component for me to understand, because for about 35 years, I fought the Canadian Armed Forces to recognize the racism that they put us through. And in 2016, by the grace of the Creator and the ancestors, I was able to convince Stuart McKelvey, a law firm, to give us an opportunity to listen to what we had to say. 11 years later, we were able to secure $150 million. We were able to address the racism that they had confronted us with, that destroyed families, that destroyed lives. And so that's the beginning. Canada cannot say they don't understand what racism is, because if you recall back in 2020 when George Floyd was murdered, at that time, Brenda Lucky, who was the commissioner for the RCMP, and Curtis Zablocki, who was the deputy commissioner for the RCMP, they tried to advance the theory that there was no racism within the rank and file of the police force. I'm not a Truro fan, but I'll give him his kudos for this reason. On the 11th of June 2020, he came forward and he rebuked them publicly, saying that there's racism in every institution in this country, including the police, including the RCMP. So that was a validation that we had from them. These type of things, ladies and gentlemen, you see, any time that we speak about something that people don't want to listen to, the first initiative is to shut us off, shut us down. but those are our life experiences. And what we want today for the town of Truro, indeed for the town, the province of Nova Scotia, indeed for the Canadian public to understand is that we as people have dreams, we have aspirations, we want our kids to do well, we want them to aspire to be lawyers, doctors and such. And we cannot do this when their knees are on our necks.
Exactly.
And I want to be clear, we're not asking you to take our knees off our necks, we're demanding it. Brent, my friend, we love you dearly. We are here today in solidarity, like a mosaic, and we pray that with God's help, because when God stands with us, nobody can stand against us. We are coming together in the name of the Almighty,
That's right.
the Alpha and Omega,
Yes.
so that at the end of the day, we will emerge successful. And again, on behalf of the entire Bowden family,
Yes.
I take this opportunity humbly to thank everybody that has showed up. And it doesn't mean that the number of people that show up is an imperative. It's the quality of the people that show up that's an imperative. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, Rocky, for that.
Facing the rising sun of a new day begun, let us march on till victory is done.
Truro Police, we don't agree. Truro Police, we don't agree. Chief McNeil, don't speak for me. Chief McNeil, don't speak for me. And we just saw a snippet of the voices that do speak for us, that came up and took this mic and spoke powerfully for us.
Yes.
And those are the voices that we authorize
That's right.
to speak for us.
Exactly.
Those are the voices that we give the authority to speak for us as African Nova Scotians. Not Chief McNeil.
No.
That's not who speaks for us.
No.
And it's awfully troubling that a whole police department cannot even see the problem with putting a banana peel in close proximity with a black man in the first place.
Exactly.
That's problematic. And they're the ones who's tasked to serve and protect. And they're the ones who are tasked with our safety. How are they going to even begin to investigate hate incidences and hate crimes if they don't even know what they look like amongst their own? Shame.
Shame.
So as I said, you're hearing from the voices that do speak for us, that are authorized to speak for us. And the next person who's going to speak for us comes in writing. And this is from Quantrell Provo. I can never say Quantrell's name properly. He's the founder of Stop the Violence. And he writes, "Good morning, everyone. We are here today not just to raise our voices, but to speak up and speak the truth. To speak out against a system that claims to protect, but has too often turned its back on us. We are here for Constable Brent Bowden, an African Nova Scotian man who chose to serve his community with integrity, who put on the uniform to uphold the law, who took an oath to serve and protect, not just the public, but the principles of fairness, duty, and dignity. And yet, he wasn't protected.
Nope.
He was targeted,
Exactly.
not by strangers in the street, but by those who wore the same badge,
And friends.
shared the same oath, and stood beside him
That's right.
in uniform. Why? Simply because he is a black man.
Yes.
This is racism at its most insidious. When even behind the badge in the very institution meant to uphold justice, a man like Brent was isolated, harassed, disrespected, and betrayed. That is not just a violation of trust, it is a stain on the entire system.
Yes, that's right.
This is the harsh reality. Racism doesn't disappear when someone wears blue. In fact, we know our bully does wear blue.
Yeah.
Injustice, sorry, that wasn't his words, I'm sorry, I'll stick to the script. Injustice doesn't stop at the station doors when a black officer like Brent is treated the way he was by his very own colleagues. It exposes a deep sickness within the system.
That's right.
A sickness that must be called out, tore down, and accountability. When those good officers like Constable Bowden are pushed out, mistreated, or punished for simply existing in their skin, we all lose.
That's right.
We lose honest, public servants.
That's right.
We lose faith in our institutions, and we lose time in a fight we should have already won.
That's right.
So we are here today because we demand accountability.
Yes.
We demand protection. We demand action.
Yes.
We demand a culture change in law enforcement that protects not just a certain race, but all the brave officers who put their lives on the line every day, regardless of race. We will not let Brent's story be buried.
No.
We will not let fear or silence win.
No.
To Brent, we see you,
Yes.
we hear you,
Yes.
and we stand with you. We honor your courage. To the system, we say this: if you can't protect your own from racism, how are you fit to protect us, the people? We won't be silent. We won't back down. And we won't stop until justice is not the exception, but the rule.
Yes.
And to those who abuse their power and betray the badge, we pray one day you will be held accountable. Justice isn't selective, and until it applies to everyone, we will not stop fighting.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was Control Provo.
Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat cannot the weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed.
Next, I'm going to call on Reverend Anthony Riley. I did this agenda up so quickly, and Brent sent me this. I did a lot of copy and pasting, so you might have to tell the people. Here I have Cherry Brook speaker at Zion and Trackety. Is that true? Oh, he's from Cherry Brook, but he speaks at Zion and Trackety. Welcome.
How y'all doing today? Good to see you all brave the weather. I come here today as I speak as a confidant of Brent's, knowing Brent from a long, long time ago, way back in the 80s, as a youngster. And we recently reconnected back, and I was speaking in New Glasgow one day in September, and at the family home with my extended New Glasgow family, the Bowdens, Miss Brenda, Deacon Brian, and so on. And we had a long talk that day, and it was about this situation. And since that time, I've been talking to Brent, so I've been a confidant of his, and it's okay. So I told him, anytime you need to lean on me to talk about something, I'm there, no problem. So we've had some conversations. So my kind of thing I got out of this today is I look at the statement. So I'm going to look at some of the things out of the statement today, because it kind of drove a wedge into me what I want to really get to you today. So I won't mention full names, but I'll just mention how it goes along, some things I like to point out.
So on June 24th, it says, I was alerted by constable and two constables. The banana peeling was on the windshield of my vehicle, and I was parked in the back of the Truro Police Service. I park at the same spot every day. The embarrassment I felt was overwhelming. Coming from a man who had been in the service, Canadian Armed Force, for 16 years, who has seen a lot in tours of Afghanistan and everything else, so he's seen a lot, but this really triggered him. It really bothered him to the core. So then he went over to his vehicle and he cleaned up the mess on the center of the windshield and disposed of banana peeling in the nearby dumpster, as we all would do. Then he entered the staff entrance into the Truro Police Service and met Sergeant Robert Hunka in the stairwell and informed him of what had happened on my truck, and it had been anything had happened and something had happened in the parking lot. He denied knowing anything about the situation and walked away. Isn't that what people do? They walk away from the situation, huh? Then he entered the Truro TPS dispatch and asked for the footage of the unmarked car that had been used. And when he seen the footage, it was clear as day. It wasn't mud, it was clear as day that the banana peel was thrown on the car. The arm was extended, as somebody has said. The arm was extended, it was thrown on. Banana peels don't fly. They don't have legs, they don't walk, but if somebody throws them, they're going to be there, amen? And we know that what a banana peel means, because it happens in hockey all the time, and how it offends. So this is something very deep. So when I talked to Brent, he had told me what I'm really looking for is support. And I'm really looking for this to be overturned and be, sometimes we got to go a little deeper, because sometimes when it means something to somebody, it might mean something this big, but actually in reality, it's something really big. Huh? And this is really big, brothers and sisters, today. This is big. Nobody asked for this kind of treatment. So as Brent continued to climb up the ladder and asking this one and that one, he went up the ladder about 5 or 6 different stages, not getting any good confirmation, not getting any real support. Even the union was there not to support him. Shame on the union. Because the union is supposed to support anybody. That is not the time to take off and run away. Shame on the union. So as Brent kept going through this thing, he prepared to have meetings, forcibly to have meetings with the same individuals that did these things to him. But one individual did say, right in this testament, that I'm sorry that this happened. That's one individual. That's a good thing. But as the steps increase and they keep on moving, wanting to get more justification out of this, the whole time he's not working. Remember this, because he's traumatized, as we all would be. Amen?
Yes.
So what happens? They keep meeting, and it keeps festering, and he's going through these things. And I'm just telling you, because this is emotion that we get, him and I, we're talking about these things. So it keeps building and building. And then at the end, when you think it's all going to be over, all of a sudden you get a slap in the face. This don't mean nothing. It might mean something to you, but it don't mean nothing to us. Shame. Shame. This has to change. This has to change. Why? Because we need equity. You are not going to have equity, and really you're not going to have equity, you're not going to have recruitment. All the time, there's recruitment letters going out for officers and fire departments and so on and so forth. How can we want to send our young people to be recruited to something like that? So as they say they're going to educate, well, they need to step up the education on that. Because who's to say 10 years down the road from now, my son or your daughter will be involved in this police station? And the same thing happens. So we need action today, we need justification today, and justice rolls down like a mighty river. Just like Martin Luther King, justice rolling down, amen? That's why we're here today, because we're peaceful, and we want justice to roll down like a mighty rolling stream. Amen? That's why we're here today, brothers and sisters. So I just thank you all for coming here today, and we continue to support Brent. But it's not only just Brent, but it's our future, like I just said. We got to set up the next people because we like to have some of our own helping to protect us, don't we? And we just got an apology 2 years ago in the prison area, Brother Rocky was saying. So that has to earn some respect. Not just up there, but all across Nova Scotia. We need the respect back. We need respect.
Yes, yes.
So we need to pull together and help Brent, even if it's financially, when the whole town of Truro is saying they don't think something's wrong with this. We got to show them there's something really wrong with this. This don't work for us. We are not accepting this. So what you swept under the carpet, you're going to have to pull back out. We want to deal with this right today. Amen? And if we go further, let's work a little harder. Keep together. If we got to dig in our pockets a little financially, whatever, to help out, that's where we got to start, brothers and sisters. All right?
Hello, brother.
And that's all I'm going to say today. Y'all be blessed. Amen?
We have come over away with the tears we've been watered. We have come treading the blood through the path of the slaughter.
Next, I'm going to call on Dorico Simons to come up and give us a few words.
So, thank you for showing up today. Thank you for standing in solidarity. Thank you to the Truro community for allowing me to walk with you, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. So, we're here today because something happened that should never happen. Officer Brent Bowden, a decorated African Nova Scotian police officer serving this community, had a banana peel thrown onto his truck by a fellow officer. For some, this might sound small, but to those of us who understand the weight of that history, we know exactly what that symbol meant. So let's be clear, this wasn't a harmless joke. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a racist act rooted in generations of anti-black hate, in a history where black people have been mocked, dehumanized, and reduced to stereotypes. And for this to happen inside the very institution tasked with upholding justice and protecting all people, that's not just an individual failure, that's a reflection of a deeper problem. Officer Brent Bowden deserved better. Our black officers deserve better. Our black communities deserve better. We are here to stand with Brent Bowden. We are here to say we see you, we believe you, and we will not let this act be minimized or dismissed. We're here to demand accountability, transparency, and action from the Truro Police Service. Some may ask, why protest for a police officer? Because this is bigger than one man. This is about the culture inside policing. This is about who gets protected and who gets harmed, even while wearing the same uniform. If racism can show up inside the badge, how much more does it show up against those without one? We cannot have two systems of policing, and one that serves black people differently. We cannot say we stand for justice if we let racism thrive within the very system enforcing the law. And so we're calling on leadership to take this seriously, to not sweep it under the rug, and as it was mentioned previously, pull it back out if you did. To not just issue statements, but to take real transformative action. We're calling for independent oversight. We're calling for consequences that match the harm. There has never been a time in history, in society, where being docile, silent, and quiet created change. There's a reason why there are never protests against the fire department. There's certain jobs where the margin of error is small. Imagine if an airline or a bus company said, every now and then we crash, but trust us. So why is it acceptable to have why is it acceptable to have high numbers of complaints, to have high numbers of police brutality, to have black communities continuously dehumanized by police, and then asked to trust them? And then it's told that it's just simply part of the job. We have the Wortley report, we have the Kirk Johnson report, we have Human Rights Commission review, we have the Ruck report, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Implement the reports.
Yes, do something.
Looking at a fire won't start the fire. Looking at water won't make it boil. And looking at this act against Brent won't change it itself. There are times in history where sometimes you have to be the one to walk on the nails barefoot to make sure the path of those coming after you is clear for them to walk. And that is unfortunately what Brent is doing. This just isn't about Brent, it's about every black person who's been disrespected, dismissed, dehumanized, and unfortunately, Brent has to be the one to sacrifice for this. Sometimes we ask, is there justice or is it just us? And to Officer Brent Bowden, decorated Officer Brent Bowden, African Nova Scotian Officer Brent Bowden, we thank you. We thank you for your courage, your service, and for enduring what no one should have to endure. We know this isn't the first, and we fear that it won't be the last, but today we stand with you, today we fight with you, and tomorrow we keep pushing for changes needed in our community. So we send a message, Truro, Nova Scotia, we won't tolerate racism, not in our streets, not in our schools, and certainly not in our police system. Thank you.
Out from the gloomy past, till early and at last, where the white gleams of the bright star is cast.
Now, next I'm going to call on Sandy Paris. She's going to come up and give a few words and read a letter from Reverend Norley Shaw.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Last night we weren't too sure maybe that this was going to happen today, but we had a wonderful day. I know the sun was shining when we left Pictou County, and I don't know if it's shining here, but it will, hopefully. So yes, certainly God has made it so that we could do this, so you could have this rally today in support of Brent Bowden, who is also a cousin of mine and a dearly loved family member. My late father loved Brent very much, very proud of him, very proud of his brothers, very proud of their service, him and Ben's service to the military. And as it was said, Brent is a decorated Afghanistan soldier and still wanted to serve his community when he came home in the role of a police officer. I myself have been a police officer for over 20 years, and I know the work, the task of that work and the toll it can take, just as being a police officer alone, but then also with other factors that sometimes enter into it that shouldn't, such as racism and racist remarks. I was just floored when I heard about this incident and told Brent that one day after church recently, that I can't believe in 2024 when this happened, that something like this happened in 2024. After everything that we've been through, everything that has happened, especially in the last 5 years and years before, and for people who we know, some of whom are here today, some of whom who are no longer with us, such as I see Kendall Patterson, your mom, your parents, my father. Everybody here has got a relative who fought for rights, fought for us to get in, to be able to be hired by police, be working in any type of public type of service type of position in the fire department, in the banks, in the police, whatever, just to have the access, because we had the ability. We had the ability. We are just as able as anybody else. I'm very proud of of you, Brent. I can't find you right now.
Not allowed.
Oh, okay. I'm very proud of you.
We're here.
Okay.
Brent.
Yes. I'm very proud of Brent and very proud of his tenacity in all of this and his resolve. And to hear him speak a few weeks ago at a funeral for a police officer who passed in New Glasgow, I've never heard him speak like that, but he also has a preacher in him as well. But he's a wonderful, upstanding
young man, a wonderful, upstanding husband, father, son, brother, cousin, friend. There's nobody that has, I've seen letters of support in the paper for him or online, and there's nothing bad to say about Brent, so it's unfathomable and it's difficult to understand why something like that, which is, as we said, like a universal sign of racism, to have something like that done to him for no apparent reason.
Reason, it's called racism. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I was asked by Reverend Dr. Morley Shaw, who is a supply minister at our church in New Glasgow, Second United Baptist Church. He's been there for the past year and a half or more, and he has known Brent. He said Brent, since he was a child, he used to hoist him over his head as a small child. So he wanted to write something in support of Brent. He's up there in age, but he's very was very willing to come here today. But he's, as he said, as he likes to say, he's well into his 80s now, and not every day is a good day for him. But he wanted to have this read in case he couldn't come today. So I'll begin. I'm honored to have been asked to say a few words about my friend, Police Officer Brent Bowden. I've known Brent for most of his life. I first met him when he was a toddler attending Second United Baptist Church with his parents and siblings. Each Sunday, as the family was leaving church, I would pick Brent up and lift him over my head and set him on my shoulders. He got a great kick out of that. Almost every time we meet, he reminds me of that, and we have a great chuckle. Brent comes from a devoted Christian family and is a sincere follower of Jesus, his Lord. He loves and continues attending church, whether in New Glasgow or in the AUBA churches in the HRM. He served in the Canadian Army Reserves and did a tour in Afghanistan. While in the military, he demonstrated a high degree of professionalism and trustworthiness. A few years ago, he was invited by the New Glasgow Legion, Branch 34, to be the speaker at the Remembrance Day service. I was impressed with his clear, calm, well-articulated content of his speech and delivery. Over the years I have known Brent, I have found him to be a hard take-charge worker, dependable, helpful, and friendly in dealing with people. Brent is a person of character and integrity, a gentleman who is responsible, reliable, well-respected, and trustworthy. He is a caring, devoted, first-rate, loving husband and father. He is well respected in New Glasgow and throughout Pictou County. Sincerely, Reverend Dr. Morley A. Shaw.
God of our wearies, God of our silent tears, Thou who hast brought us thus far on our way, Thou who hast by Thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray.
The problem is, when these things remain in silence and we don't bring them out into the open like we are here today, this type of behavior is able to persist, right? They sought to divide us, but they didn't divide us. Do you want me to tell you why? Because the white community was outraged along with us. They were just as angry as we were. And they said, not natural, not in our community.
That's right.
You know? And we've had a lot of support from our allies. And so I want to call on Sarah Stewart Clark, because Sarah has been with us from the beginning as well as an ally. And she's going to give a few words. So thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Angie. I stand before you humbly as a colonial settler. My family and I moved here to Truro 14 years ago, and we found a wonderful community to raise our son. I didn't know Brett before this, but like Angie said, I recognized his character. I recognized his leadership. I recognized his life of service. And I was shocked. I know many of you were not shocked. I was shocked that this occurred in the community that I have become a part of in 2025. And not only did it happen, but it was so mishandled that it became a much larger incident and a much larger reflection of the true problem that exists in our colonial systems. And I stand here looking at City Hall, where every employee is white except for the part-time diversity officer. And I look at the Truro Police Services, to my knowledge, only has 2 officers who identify as African Nova Scotians. And that to me is a problem. That to me shows me that there are not equal opportunities for all members of the community in Truro. That in itself is a problem. I believe it. Having seen this happen, I believe it. And I believe Brent. I believe it happened exactly as he said, because people of character do not make things up. No one would want to go through, no one would choose to go through what Brent has been put through by Truro Police Services. And so I call on the white community in Truro to stand with the African Nova Scotian community, who is burdened and has been bearing this for time immemorial. Let us stand with them and take some of this on for them. There's a problem. There's a problem when we don't hear what our African Nova Scotian community members are telling us. And that's what I see happening here. We have a colonial system who has colonial policies that they're sticking to. And they're sticking by them, and they're not hearing Brent. They're not hearing your community. And nothing changes unless we sit down with open hearts and hear one another. And so I urge Truro Police Services and the town of Truro to open your ears and open your heart and actually hear what Brent and what this community is telling you.
Say that again.
I am calling on Truro Police Services and the town of Truro to actually open your hearts and open your ears and listen and hear, not just listen, but hear what Brent and what this community is telling you. Because the truth shall set you free. The truth, I see the truth right here before me. I want better for our community. I know this affects the African Nova Scotian community at a much deeper level, but this hurts all of us. It does. It hurts all of us. I don't want to live in a community where our police services is known as tolerating racism, because that attracts a certain kind of police officer that I don't want policing my town. I've come to know Officer Brent Bowden over the past several months and come to greatly respect his character, his service of history, his humble nature, and his belief in standing up for the truth. And nothing changes unless we push for it. And so, Brent, Officer Bowden, I know you're not here, but you are my hero. You were placed in a situation to keep you down, to belittle you, to make you feel small. And you had the courage to rise up and say no. And we are all here today standing with you to say we agree with Brent. There is no place for this racism in Truro Police Services. There's no place for this racism in Truro. There's no place for this racism in Nova Scotia. Thank you all so much for being here, and I hope that we'll continue to use our voices, to use our hearts and our minds, to fight for a more inclusive community for all. When I thought about what officers are doing to their own, and I thought about how they would be policing African Nova Scotians in the community, I got to thinking, how are they policing women in the community? How are they policing our LGBTQ, Two-Spirited Plus community. It doesn't end with the African Nova Scotian community. It makes me question how they're policing all of the communities in this beautiful place that I call home. So do better, Truro Police Services. Open your hearts and listen. You can have as many colonial systems decide that this is not a racist act as you want, but we know this was a racist act. That will never change. So hear us. Hear us and change it. Thank you so much for everyone who organized this and who stands with Brent. Brent, you are not alone. We are grateful for the courage you have shown and the leadership you have shown. And you are exactly the police officer we want on the streets in Truro, policing our town. You are the officers we want. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Blessed our path, straight from the place of our God where we met thee. Blessed our heart, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee.
In closing, I want to just say one quick thing, because there's been all kinds of narratives being spun by yours truly over here about what happened. The recent one I heard was the wind picked it up. And threw it up on the windshield, and that's how it got there. So I did a little bit of research, and on that day, the wind was 6.1 miles per hour. Barely enough to rustle some leaves, the weatherman said. And so unless that banana peel was Mary Poppins, and flew up, and away, and landed on the truck, we don't believe these fables are lies. So I want to say thank you, everyone, for coming today, for showing who does speak for our community. We speak for our community. Chief McNeil does not speak for our community. These systems of oppression don't speak for our community. You can have 10,000 meetings and decide what it was and what it wasn't, but you don't speak for our community. I just saw Kirk Johnson over here, and I didn't want to, hey Kirk, how you doing, buddy? And I didn't want to leave without saying hi to Kirk. We all know Kirk's iconic story. Kirk, do you want to say something? I'm sorry, listen, I cannot let the event go and not give Kirk the mic.
That's right.
Because Kirk is also a fighter, and Kirk paved the way for a lot of this. So,
thank you very much. I got here late. I had to drop my daughter off, but you know, it was one of the things that I had to be at. Brent, he asked me the other night at the Black Man's retreat, and I read a little bit about it. Am I talking too low? No. Okay, I read a little bit about it. I told my wife, I said, yeah, I have to come up here and I have to show some type of support, because I remember when I went through it started in 1998, right up until 2003. That's when I finally won the case, and he's doing the same thing. He's fighting for equality and fighting to get rid of racism, and I'm proud of him, and he's doing a great job, so I'm glad to be here to support. Thank you very much.
So we had some heavy hitters in the house today. We had some heavy hitters, we had some voices. These are the voices that speak for us. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Safe travels back.
Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land.
What do we want? The truth! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? The truth! When do we want it? Now!
No lying police.
No justice, no peace.
The truth. Now. The truth. Now.
Truro Police, we don't agree.
Truro Police, we don't agree.
Chief McNeil, don't speak for me.
Chief McNeil, don't speak for me.